Should be live.
Did you get a card filled out? Did you get a card filled out? Turned in? Wow. 5 hours. Do what? Did you advertise? Oh, did you? Okay.
Board of Aldermen meeting for Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. We're going to go ahead and call tonight's meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Kelly.
Here.
Alderman Kelly.
Here.
Alderman Cleve.
Here.
Alderman Gass.
Here.
Alderman Stewart.
Here.
Alderman Homan.
Here.
Alderman Lash.
Here.
Attorney Littrell. Administrator Littrell.
Here.
Attorney Jones.
Here.
Chief Klinger.
Here.
Public Works Commissioner Bergman.
Here.
Engineer Garando.
Here.
If everybody would please rise and remove your hats for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Do we have anybody here from the ministerial line? And not to the pastor of the audience. All right, if everybody would please go ahead and bow their heads for a prayer. Let us come together with open hearts and minds. We gather today in the spirit of unity and service, committed to making decisions that honor the well-being of our community. May wisdom, fairness, and compassion guide our discussions and actions. Help us to listen deeply, think clearly, and work cooperatively for the good of all. As we begin this meeting, let us embrace a shared purpose, to build a community that reflects our highest values of respect, justice, and kindness. Amen. All right, do I have a motion to approve this evening's agenda?
Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
I'd like to amend the agenda to remove a couple items and add one as well.
Okay.
I'd like to motion that we remove on 6 new business, item number B. And then on number 12, new business, item number B.
Should that be number 8B, not 6?
Oh, 8B, sorry. Thank you. 8B, sorry.
Okay, and then what was the other one, I'm sorry?
It is on the back side, page 12, number B, also resolution.
Okay.
2606.
All right.
And you said you wanted to add something? I would like to add Bill 5308 to the second reading, under 6 new business, to do the second reading also.
So move to,
We better move it to 9 or 6.
or move to 8, I'm sorry, not 6.
Looks like 9 was your second reading, sorry. But okay.
9.
I think it's 9 down. Thank you.
Okay, can we review that?
Pardon?
Review that.
Yes, so the motion that Alderman Kelly has made to amend the agenda is to remove 8B, bill number 5310, remove 12B, resolution number 2026-06, and move bill number 5308 that is currently under 11C to 8, and it would, if passes, if this passes, would become 8B. I'm sorry, not 8, 9, my mistake, so it would become 9C. 11C would become 9C, correct?
I would second that.
All right, so I have a second from Alderman Cleve. Is there any discussion? I do have a question for Attorney Jones. Since bill number 5308, we've already done a second reading, or it's for a second reading, but it's tabled, is it still appropriate to move it to 9C?
So it has been read twice, and it's been tabled.
I'm sorry, it's been read once, it was up for a second reading, but instead it was tabled at a previous meeting.
We did table that.
We tabled it, and it was asked to be sent to operations, or sent to committee, didn't specify it,
On its first reading.
on its first, yes.
If I may, Mayor. However, it doesn't reflect that on the agenda tonight, that's why we're asking if we can move it. That we can.
I just want to make sure that it's okay to go ahead and move it under 9 for a second reading, even when it's tabled.
Well, it would first require a motion to remove it from the
Correct.
table.
Yes.
But yes, it.
Okay, I just want to make sure that we're good moving it there. All right, is there any other discussion?
Mayor, just for the
Yes.
record, if everyone got my email on the back of the page, item 24B, the date should be May 29th, 31st, not March
the agenda. If you wouldn't mind adding to yours, and Alderman Cleve, if you will second this, the removal under the mayor's report, the appointment of Mike Weimer as sexton. I do plan to bring that up at the next meeting, but there's some other details that need to be worked out prior to. So I will not be asking for that appointment this evening. Do you mind including that in your amendment?
That would be fine to go ahead and add separate amendment to your request.
Thank you. So second that. All right. Ms. Barfield, did you get that?
Yes.
Ms. Ross? All right. Is there any other discussion? All right. All those in favor of amending the agenda to remove item 8B, bill number 5310, remove 10A, the appointment of Mike Weimer as sexton, as well as remove 12B, resolution number 2026-06, and move bill number 5308 that is currently under 11C to make it become 9C. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries.
When would,
Thank you.
so we don't have a, as far as that budget amendment, we don't have a action on it now, or it's in the committee, we don't have that.
No, it's just been removed from the agenda, which means it will come forward. And place it on the next agenda as it currently stands, unless something changes. All right, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from February 3rd, 2026?
Motion.
I have a motion from Alderman Kelly, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Alderman Gass, is there any discussion?
Page four.
Okay. Sorry, Alderman.
Yeah, I think your page, well, no, my page is first, I was present on February 3rd. That's the first correction, the other one is on page 9. Page 9, the first paragraph, about 10 sentences down, right before the boldface, it says, agreed in her tender, that should be tenure. Whole different meaning there, change of words, let me find that. Do you find it, Ms. Barfield? I'll find it, so yeah.
I was looking for it, but I found where you talked about.
And then down towards that first section of the boldface, since Mayor Tilly stated to confirm the motion, that would be the modified motion. That boldface up above was the original motion, and then this secondary is a change, so it would properly be the modified motion. That's all I have.
Mine was minor in comparison, page 4, B, bill, under bill 5303, revolving gas is, voting twice.
Then on 404,
Just had it listed twice. Wasn't originally voted.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes from the February 3rd, 2026 with the changes mentioned, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from February 17th, 2026?
make a motion.
I have a motion from Alderman Lesh. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
A second from Alderman Cleve. Is there any discussion?
There's a correction on page 12. And that boldface on the vote, the Mayor Billy stated that the motion failed 4-2, that should be passed. That's all.
Any other discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes from the February 17th, 2026 meeting with the one change as noted, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? Motion carries. Do I have a motion to approve the closed session meeting minutes from February 17th, 2026?
Motion.
I have a motion from Alderman Kelly. Do I have a second? A second from Alderman Stewart. Is there any discussion?
Mayor, if I may, I believe there was one name change that city clerk's gonna take care of.
Okay.
We talked about two different ones back here.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
You can allude to a little bit of what that is, or? You said there's a name change, is it a correction to a name or?
Correction.
addition?
Oh, the statement, it was stated correctly.
Okay.
Our line item notes in the closed minutes, it was stated incorrectly. For clarification. That was on mobile home park.
Yes.
It was reported out after the vote. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? All those in favor of approving the closed session meeting minutes from February 17th, 2026 with the one correction being made, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained?
I'm staying because I have not seen them.
Motion carries. All right, moving on to public participation. I do have several speaker cards this evening, so when I call your name, will you please come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and you will be given 3 minutes to speak. I would like to first call Darlene Hope to the podium, please.
My name is Darlene Cole. I live at Highway, I live at 2480 Highway 835. There are currently over 5,400 data centers, hypercenters spread across the United States, driven by AI demand. In addition, 3,000 centers, parks, and complexes are scheduled and planned under construction later, and add 5 million gallons of water per day. For each hypercenter will equal 27 billion gallons of water a year. With an average lifespan of 10 to 15 years for each center, that equals a whopping 405 billion gallons of water over the next 10 to 15-year lifespan of the current 5,400 data centers across the United States. This is not taking into consideration the additional 3,000 data centers currently being planned. As you can see, these numbers are mind-boggling, and yet, do you think that the United States has that kind of water to support these facilities? My point is this: with this kind of water consumption, our water resources are shrinking quickly. It is no wonder the western part of the United States is literally thirsting to death. Are we going to face the same situation in the future as more and more of these facilities are built in Franklin County? We are just beginning to be inundated with hypercenters. How many more are going to come into our communities? This is an unknown. Added to the amount of electrical use these centers need to operate, you can quickly surmise that we do not currently have the kind of electrical grid needed to support these centers. How much more land is going to be needed? How long will it take to get the grid up and running? It is already been proven that the residents in cities that live near those power-hungry facilities are experiencing electrical bills increasing of 200%, in some locations even higher. Our electric rates will also go up through the roof. There was a recent comment regarding the high electric bill from Route 66 Museum, housed at the Red Cedar Inn. Well, the electric bill is about to go up a whole lot bigger with the Diamond Farms and the Crooked Creek Farms hypercenters are approved. We do not need this to be a we'll fix it later scenario and haphazardly proceed. This is prime agricultural ground. There may come a day where maybe we need to go back to farm to sustain our own community or nation with food, and there's a shortage. Think a food shortage will not happen? Think about Ethiopia. Thank you.
Thank you. Sherman Smith.
Hello, my name is Sherman Smith from 4300 Highway in Robertsville. Mayor, Alderman, and members of the City Council, I'm here today to discuss a hidden threat to Franklin County's Our farmers depend on honeybees, not just as insects, but as essential workforce that pollinates our crops and ensures our food security. However, the rapid expansion of hyperscale data centers introduce a persistent industrial interference known as a digital hum. While these facilities may meet our current noise codes, those codes are designed for human ears. Honeybees do not hear like we do. They sense a tiny vibration through the air and the ground. They rely on a waggle dance on a precise 250 hertz vibration to tell the colony where to find food. The problem is that these massive cooling fans used by data centers produce a constant low frequency roar at the exact same range. This creates a functional noise wall that jams the bees' communication. Research indicates that in a quiet environment, bees have a healthy success rate for finding food. But when exposed to this industrial hum, that success rate is predicted to drop to less than 10%. The impact on the colony is devastating. Specific frequencies from these fans can trigger a freezing response, causing bees to spontaneously stop working and stop feeding their larvae. The 24/7 vibration disrupts the bees' internal clocks, leading to metabolic exhaustion. This chronic stress can trick the hive into replacing a healthy queen, leading to a total colony failure during the winter. We're not asking to stop progress, but we're asking for a smarter regulation, because a data center can meet the decibel limits while still physically shaking a beehive into collapse. We must update our standards. We urge the council to require raw energy reporting. Noise studies must measure the raw energy in the low frequency bands that affect pollinators, not just the sounds that humans can hear. Developers must ensure that vibrations traveling through the ground do not exceed the known sensitivity of honeybees. Mitigation plans must specifically target the 250 and 380 hertz tones that cause communication failure and freezing. Franklin County's farmers cannot afford a silent collapse of our pollinator networks. Let's ensure that as we build for the digital future, we do not silence the biological signals that underpin our harvest. And I have some policy recommendations and some nice infographics and a study that was just based on revenue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Twyla Ashworth.
Twyla Ashford, 6551 Hill, Pacific, Missouri. Over the weekend, I sent each of you a report titled Anthropogenic Thermal Forcing and Ecological Destabilization in the Merrimack River Basin. I hope you took the opportunity to read the report in its entirety. I am providing a copy of the report as part of the record. I've stood before you several times expressing my concerns about the environmental impact on our water, air, land, wildlife, and our health. So what about the what ifs? What if the lithium battery explodes and catches fire? What if the diesel generators develop a diesel leak and poison the aquifer? What if there is an environmental impact that no one thinks will happen but does? What if the environmental strain is so severe the New Madrid and Bolivar-Mansfield fault systems are activated? What if pollutants are emitted into the air? Have any of these what ifs been planned for? If diesel fuel going to be stored on site? Will there be consistent regular testing of the water? Will there be testing of air pollutants being emitted into the air? Infrared sound waves, etc. Will lithium batteries be stored on site? This truly is a lot of questions to answer. Do we even know who will occupy this hyper center? Is there a master plan in place to handle all emergencies and environmental impacts that could occur? Who will ensure these facilities will be maintained? And what happens when these buildings become obsolete? Will they just stay there to scar the landscape forever? Who will clean up the mess left behind? Will property values decrease for those of us living near this facility? I have had my property reappraised because I want to know what my property is worth now, pre-hypercenter construction. I will be living within 300 feet of this facility, and it could even be closer once construction is finished. Who will compensate all of us for a loss of value to our homes? This is just the tip of the iceberg of numerous questions and environmental considerations that need to be considered. Thank you.
Mary Watson.
My name is Mary Watson, and I live at 6641 Highway O, Pacific, Missouri. I live on the border of the proposed data park, and I too am a bee. When I first learned the proposed data park, when I first learned of the data park, my first thoughts were of my bees. Of course, I also have concerns about water, electricity, wildlife, noise pollution, but I would like to talk about my bees. Bees use the Earth's natural electromagnetic field to navigate to food sources and navigate back to the hive. High-frequency electromagnetic fields, or EMF, and audible noise from industrial sources like data centers can cause distortion and disrupt that navigation. If enough foragers cannot navigate back to the hive, the colony will collapse. If the queen cannot navigate to find drones for mating, or cannot navigate back to the hive, the colony is doomed. In addition, exposure to EMFs can cause physiological stress and metabolic changes, including DNA damage. Honeybees are our pollinators. You can say thank you to the honeybees for 1/3 of the food we eat. Last summer, I witnessed a demonstration of that pollination. I was working in my garden when I heard a swarm. If you have ever heard a swarm, you know the sound. I looked everywhere, and then I saw it. It wasn't a swarm, but hundreds and hundreds of bees on my corn. Think of all our gardens, our farmers, and all the cornfields in our county without the bees. For various reasons, including industrialization, 1.6 million colonies were lost across the U.S. last year alone. I hate to think that my hometown would add to that decline, and I have some sources. Thank you.
Nancy K. Watson.
My name is Nancy K. Watson. I live at 743 Industry Drive, rural Pacific. Mayor Philly, Alderman, less than a month ago, at the 1/27/26 Alderman's meeting, Beltline presented a proposal for a hyperscale data center. When Ryan Sanders of Beltline was asked by Alderman Lesh if the company was going to ask for a tax abatement, the reply was, and I quote, "That is not what he is doing today." A non-answer. In the engineering report by Cochran, A.J. Durando wrote, "The 55 decibel limit at residential property lines may be a bit high." An understated observation. He went on to write, "A building height of 85 feet is proposed." And he continued, "But the increased height may be visible from farther away." Another understated observation. In his report, Mr. Durando referred to small homes near the proposed data center. Did he drive around the adjacent properties? Some of the homes had 4 to 5 bedrooms. Calling the adjacent homes small could be considered derogatory or little value. A building height of 85 feet will have a devastating effect on the nearby properties, as well as the views of families living near the data center. 4 of the 16 buildings are expected to be two-story. An 85-foot building is more like a skyscraper than a two-story building. On my way to this meeting, I saw no signs with data centers are welcome in Franklin County. There are many signs with no data centers in Franklin County. Beltline did not come to Pacific to help us. They were not invited. They came from Georgia in search of large plots of virgin farmland because governing bodies in Georgia, as well as in other communities and states, are delaying, further regulating, or outright refusing data centers to be built. Beltline has now moved the issue to Franklin County, while it remains a matter before our city. If the project returns to consideration by our planning and zoning commissioners and to you, our aldermen, I urge you to deny this land and money grab. Would any of you here tonight want to live next door for 6 to 10 years of construction with an additional 10 to 20 years of a noisy, water guzzling, air polluting, hyperscale data center? Thank you.
Brandy Hines.
Brandy Hines, 8 business. Here we go. We would like to keep our subdivision as a community, not a commercial area. We would rather families be able to purchase homes instead of turning them into a business. Besides the aspect of strangers being in and out, potential
y'all for your time and visiting with me this week. Although there was
If you'll state your name and address for the record, please.
David Wheeler, and I'm here for 1505 Cypress Street in Pacific, Missouri. I know we talked a lot this week to several of you, and although there was some concerns of several people that had in the neighborhood, we do have to remember that I do have 100 people that signed, and it was not false pretense, as I showed you. It's worded exactly the way I said it. They're gonna live there some, and they're gonna rent it out to the teams there, and they're gonna rent it out as an Airbnb. Is an Airbnb bad? The subdivision is 60% rentals already. And they don't bring in any revenue to the city, and a lot of them have no regulations whatsoever. An Airbnb is totally regulated. Also, it's not the first of its kind, because the city of Pacific did okay a very similar, not exactly, but a very similar property in the Hogan subdivision on 121 Phelan Street. It is a part-time Airbnb, and the owners are living there part-time. The exact same thing that I'm asking. I'm just gonna go over some positives of why I believe 1505 Cypress will be a good neighbor for Pacific. It's not a rental, it's a managed home. The top priority is safety and security, is why strict and verified guest screening, enforced house rules to ensure respectful travelers are here in their home. This isn't a party house. There are people that are from Marina that are trained professional and all professional. The property will blend in the community fine. 1505 Cypress will bring economic benefits directly to the local area. Instead of guests staying at a hotel, while they're here, they're going to be eating at Camilla's, Rich's Burgers, and many other restaurants. Bringing groceries, buying groceries locally, visiting local parks, etc. Guests will be guided to visit local mom and pop stores to help neighborhood businesses. The other rental properties in that neighborhood will not. Again, increasing Pacific's revenue, welcoming business into Pacific. Pride will be taken in their ownership for sure. They rely on ratings. Bad ratings, no renters. Their property will be kept immaculate, with landscaping maintained better than or equal to the surrounding homes. Presence means a well-kept, occupied home only, eliminating the risks associated with vacant properties that are there now, and neglected, which is there now, and security concerns. The new owners have addressed all those issues. Noise matters. Noise monitors are going to be installed and regulated by local management team. A 2-lane, 4-car off-street parking is going to be added.
I'm gonna have to ask you to wrap up.
Okay. The new owners are committed to being responsible neighbors. Their goal is to make 1505 Cypress a welcome place to visit while ensuring the neighbors feel comfortable, safe, and proud to live in the subdivision.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Henry Hahn.
Henry Hahn, 58 Cedarbrook, Pacific. I'm here to talk about the parking restrictions that are proposed on Osage, on Second and Third Street off of Osage. The parking that want to eliminate is on the east side of Second Street from Osage on down. The parking along the church there is used by people on Saturdays and Sundays, and a lot of times on Tuesdays, for people with limited mobility. Limiting the parking spots is gonna probably cut down on the attendance in church, because the older people are just not gonna be able to walk those distances. to make the Second Street and, Third Street basically only game for, questionably licensed postal trucks. Evidently, these people, whether, I don't know where they got their driver's license from or their CDL license for, but they evidently can't make very good left or right turns. I think it's just because they want to make it an open, clear path for them to cover for these unskilled drivers that are probably gonna be coming out. I can imagine, a postal service truck going westbound on Osage and not seeing any eastbound traffic, making a wild turn down that street, and he has no idea that that street has a very steep incline. If he even able to read the stop sign there, he's probably gonna blow right through it. So, I just don't think it's a good idea at all. I don't know why he has to have such a wide coverage anyway, to satisfy 2 or 3 times a day of postal trucks going on. And one more thing about, data center things. They say they ain't talking about a tip. Every place that I've known for, and I've worked in North County for 30-some years, these people get these tips. They do what they call tip out, whether it's 10 years or 15 years, and they move on and they leave buildings that are pretty much useless for anybody else that would like to work there. So I don't think that data center is a good idea at all for many reasons, and I certainly hope you decide the parking should stay as it is for the safety of our kids. And also the kids use that, southwest corner of, Union and Second Street as a ball field to play, and they don't need to deal with these over speeding, UPS trucks. Thank you.
Yeah. Donna Williams?
My name is Donna Williams, 116 North 3rd Street, Pacific. I'm here to talk about the parking and changing the parking regulations along 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Street. I've talked to several people, I've heard several different stories. I have no idea what's true and what's not, but the reason that, like Henry, I've heard it's the post office. I've heard that a fire and ambulance can't get into the church if they need to. Well, I've been at church when both have been there, and they have no problems. Let me tell you, they know what they're doing. They know how to get in. And the parking along there, you don't need to make it any wider or any more open, because kids are crossing there going back and forth from school to church, and you don't need people flying down that street, whether it be the postal department or whoever. And as far as Second Street goes, if you change parking, years ago you changed parking along where Camilla's is, and it went from angle parking to parallel parking. So they lost probably 4 spots along there. But if you change that, and you make that no parking, all you're doing is hurting the residents who live there who don't have driveways. We have old homes. We park in the street because that's how it was always done. We have a 150-year-old home, and there was no parking or garages. So if you
St. Bridget School and Church. For those of you who have attended St. Bridget for Mass or other various community functions, you are well aware that navigating the campus is not particularly easy. Seemingly, the entire campus is on a hill. For those of us blessed who not have limited mobility, it is inconvenient. For those who have mobility issues, parking and entering the church is a struggle. Without parking on the street near the church, that struggle changes from difficult to prohibitive. The east side, the side closest to the church, is where you will find parishioners and citizens with mobility issues parking so that they can get into church. You may also see them parking there so they can access the gym to avoid navigating the steps from the school parking lot. Is it perfect? No. It still possesses its own struggles. I assure you that Bill and I and many others have racked our brains trying to find a solution for those who struggle with mobility to make attending Mass and other events less of a challenge. Based on topography and existing structures, we have not been able to come up with a viable solution. As of right now, parking on the street is the only solution. I have some confusion regarding where exactly this proposal originated and its purpose. While I will assume it was proposed with the best of intentions regarding safety, please note that it will have the opposite effect for not only parishioners and school children, but also for those who visit the campus to perhaps enjoy fish fries, fall festivals, grandparent day activities, and the numerous other community-based events for which St. Bridget of Kildare opens its doors. While I'm here today as a parishioner and school parent, I want to emphasize that St. Bridget of Kildare is more than church and more than school. It is an integral part of the city of Pacific and surrounding areas. It is a place where all are welcome. It is a place that opens its facilities to countless secular groups and fundraising events. The detrimental effects that will result from restricting parking at and around this campus will be felt by many. Thank you for your consideration.
Michelle Bruns.
Michelle Bruns, 229 East Bellevue. I'm here to speak in regards to the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Street parking. I spoke with Mr. Al Schumer, the emergency management, and we were really concerned that they had changed all the stuff. She's got a picture I gotta put up. All the changes and why it was in effect. Is it the post office? Is it the fire department? Is it the ambulance district? Well, I did my due diligence. The fire district says only consider that in a special event. Got it? Special event. Well, if this is such a hazard and the emergency management team needs to put restrictions and put children and faculty in danger, let's look at Brown Jerry. Look at these propane tanks. There's 2 of them. How are they connected to this unstable structure with a ratchet strap? My husband was a fireman for over 30 years, a volunteer. And he says the biggest hazard on 2nd Street is coming down and seeing something like that and then turning a corner where you cannot get a fire truck in because of a structure that's built in the parking area in front on a highway in Divide. It's highway. We can't understand why you're picking on these streets. The post office, get better drivers. I'm sorry. I think that the city should look at it and say, no, we're not going to mess with Catholics. We're not going to mess with the Presbyterian. We're not going to mess with anybody on 3rd Street. That's all the people that have homes there and Camillus. I'm sure they're not happy with what you're going to do. As far as handicap parking, you're getting 3 spaces that you wanted for downtown. Why not put them out in front of the buildings, not on the side where you have to walk? Thank you very much. And remember,
We're not talking once in a while, we're not talking special events. We are talking about daily. Our children cross the street in a designated crosswalk that is on a huge slope and a hill. And they do that daily when they go to Mass as part of St. Bridget of Kildare. Also, we were really surprised that St. Bridget wasn't even approached prior to receiving a copy of the proposed bill 3 weeks ago by Alderwoman Carla Stewart. It was a shock to us, and especially to our pastor, Father Nord, especially since after a while we found out that it had already been discussed in city meetings. The bill states to be about public safety, but the emergency agencies have been concerned only about special events, which is already addressed by temporary street closure orders. Previously, as documented, Chief Klinger stated the Second Street part of the bill is related to the USPS postal trucks. These are already, doesn't St. Pacific already have designated truck routes that have never included Second Street? And if that's the case, why aren't they being made to use those truck routes? Parents at our school are very concerned about the changes to that effect. Bill 5308 was on the agenda tonight, even though the record in the proceedings indicated that it was voted and that the bill would not be on for a second reading on tonight's agenda. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
Paul Fisher?
Paul Fisher, 7789 Highway O, Robertsville. So I'm here to speak on Bill 5308 on the parking issue. You may ask why would somebody from Robertsville care? So my family, my parents went to St. Bridget's. I went to St. Bridget's. My kids went to St. Bridget's. And my families have been here since probably the 19-teens and attended that church. So I feel like I have a little bit of standing here. So I want to thank you to whichever alderman brought this information to the school, otherwise we would have known nothing about it. So I don't know, maybe there's what the reason is for that. But so a little bit of history. I started school there in 1969. The parking situation was identical in 1969 as it is today. Okay, so and we had a fire department in between Union Street and St. Louis Street on 2nd Street. I listened to fire trucks go up and down that hill every day, sirens blaring back and forth. They never had any problems getting up and down that. And I don't believe the fire department's the problem, or the ambulance district is the problem. The problem comes in on what has changed. What has changed is the postal service is there. The postal service is using 2nd Street. I agree with Renee. Why are they not using the designated truck routes? If there are truck routes designated, why are they not using them? If you want to look at a safety concern, the safety concern is taking semis up and down through a street where there are 2 crosswalks and children going across those crosswalks at various times of the day. Why would we do that? Why would we send semi trucks up and down through there when they chose to where they wanted their building? I agree, I'm glad they've got a new building, but they also should be made to abide by the rules too, and for them to keep us safe and keep the children safe. If anything, we need to limit the vehicles going up and down 2nd Street because of the vicinity of the school. Thank you.
Thank you.
we're,
It would affect A, B, C, D, and E on section two, or on section two. It would also affect, the last part of the sentence on section one, which says unless the board of aldermen approves.
you wanting to, make a motion to have the attorney amend this bill with those changes?
I could start doing that, I see if they're looking down and trying to read the rest of the alderman. I could make a motion, I can say that, yeah, we change this, to reflect that, policy of the city is that we shall not enter into any non-disclosure agreements, in supporting rationale would be along the lines of, Sunshine Law 610-021, I will provide the city with everything it needs to keep things confidential. But again, those rules are for mechanisms for the public to, learn the matters.
Okay, so the motion on the floor by Alderman Lush is to amend bill number 5309 to reflect that no NDAs are permitted even with approval of the board of aldermen, which would mean removal of the last sentence of section 1 and removal of under section 2, A, B, C, and D.
I would say it needs to be revised, well, that needs to be revised.
Revised, okay, as opposed to removed, okay.
And also the first part, which said that it would be a policy that would say no NDAs unless approval, it would just be no NDAs, period.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second then.
I have a second from Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion?
Yes, how often do NDAs happen within the city? I don't think they've happened but the one time since I've been doing this. My question is, how is this gonna affect other business that comes to town, other normal business, if there is something you can tell us?
I think that's unfortunately a question that we don't necessarily have an answer to because, to your point, I mean, this was the first time that since I've taken office, as mayor, that an NDA has come about. I have heard from the public, we're gonna say, that they believe, and some of this did come from previous elected officials, they believe there may have been NDAs entered into in the past for various projects. However, I don't have any documentation or anything to support that. Again, that was just conversation that was had. I can tell you in talking to other municipalities that surround us, they enter into NDAs quite often when new businesses are looking to come to their towns, at least to allow for staff to have preliminary conversations, gather information before taking it to their councils and and the committees for review and further discussion.
That being said, the other surrounding towns see a lot more development than we do. Are we shutting that development down even further than we have already? I say we, I know that not all of us have been a part of everything that's gone on in town, but that's what I worry about, just doing no NDAs at all.
But we have ordinances that cover to where we can't speak of it.
Right, we do, but is the development gonna trust that? I mean,
Well, if they're not gonna trust that, then they won't think an NDA is gonna hold them to it either. I mean, this got out with the NDA signed, I'm sorry.
an ordinance doesn't protect them financially, whereas an NDA does.
But that goes back to the whole situation, it got out with NDA signed. I don't know how they would track it back, but we got told because it leaked out. And, but I asked the person that said she heard it, and she heard it at two different Pacific events, Christmas events that were held in Pacific. So it got out, but to
I
more
think
people.
I understand what you're saying, but this is a different scenario, the current one that we're in with the data center, and we generally have to deal with.
I do know of a business that had preliminary conversations with an intent to come to town in the last couple of years. And while there was no NDA signed or anything to that nature, discussion did get leaked, for lack of a better term, that business was looking to come to town. And they very quickly changed their minds because they, in their discussions, had asked that these be kept as confidential as they possibly could be until they were ready to come forward with further details.
Well, that would be my point, so they ask for the confidentiality, the city says that, we intend to, city administration can tell employees that you've been directed as an employee to keep this confidential, subject to disciplinary action. But then if it gets leaked out and it does go out, with an NDA, the city's financially liable at that point. So what position have we put ourselves in by entering into an NDA? I think to Alderman Hogan's point is other cities, or we would be saying, if you're not, Mr. Davis, if you're not even gonna speak to us, we really want to hear from you, so therefore we will entertain signing an NDA. And, that's kind of the question. Do we think that businesses aren't even gonna approach and talk to us if they can't put us under an NDA?
And unfortunately, that's a question that we can't say yes or no to because it's all gonna depend on the business. If you look at, the business environment, NDAs happen all the time, for just that reason, for that confidentiality of until certain things get answered and figured out.
Yeah, to add to the conversation, I mean, where the problem really comes in is with the elected officials. The point that the elected officials are being drawn into an NDA, that's in my opinion, a huge problem. Because we as elected officials are obligated and owe it to the citizens to vote to us. So we should never be put in a position of having to tell citizens we can't talk to you or we can't tell you. And along with that, there is a certain point that the aldermen, are obliged to be brought in when something's gone to an application stage. The aldermen aren't usually read into information that the city's dealing with in its day-to-day businesses. And that's where that point is. It's like, once you pull the aldermen into it, we can't be bound by an NDA, and the city can't either at that point. That creates a conflict between administration and aldermen. We see that in some of the emails. The emails were saying, well, if the aldermen don't agree with this, then we just don't tell them. You can't have that. So that's kind of what we need to think about, and that's where we need to get this policy on. Which route are we gonna go? Are we gonna say absolutely not on these? Or as Mr. Hogan says, there might be some good reasons, as the mayor's pointing out, there might be some good reasons for it. But we need to get that structured so that, again, the aldermen aren't brought into that. And when the aldermen need to be told before the aldermen come asking, then the information is shared and the NDA no longer applies.
Go ahead.
When Integram come to town, they were very secret. Very secret. And the next building beside Integram, I don't know what the name of the business is today, but to get a hold of them, you had to call the gentleman's home. And the wife would call him at the business, and he would call him back. They wanted nobody to know exactly what they were doing, or where they were going or anything. And so they're out in the industrial court on that end of town, and right there in the Integram left, and we've got another business in there, so that's, the other company's still there, but I don't know what name they're under today. But they were very, very secret.
One of the questions I have on this is, I'm not even sure how we can vote on an NDA, because how are we gonna hear enough information about an NDA? That would kind of break the NDA to me. So, I understand what we're saying and what we want, but in practice, I'm not sure how that's really gonna go, because, we can even use Beltline, we can use any
2B, it talks about the non-disclosure agreement would can only cover those matters that are already closed under applicable law. And if it ends up being open matters or subject to public disclosure, we just need to be sure that we include language that indicates the NDA would expire if any matter is deemed open under applicable law. And that's going forward, if you were to adopt a bill with similar language, that's the way I would handle it, and that's the way our office would continue to advise the city.
Okay, and so I figured that, I assumed that we would be in closed session to talk about the NDA, but my point is, we still know about the NDA at that point, and if we're not, if we want to still be able to talk about it, I mean, yeah.
So the city's already entered into it, and then they're bringing the alderman into it, right? In a closed session meeting, saying, we'd like to discuss it with you, it's covered under closed session, more so than the NDA, and the alderman and I was like, no, wait a second, we need to open this up. The city's still got the NDA that they signed.
True, and that was the timing in this particular transaction. But if you pass this bill, that would not happen. It would instead first go to the alderman for approval before the city entered into it. It wouldn't be entered into in this step.
You know, hear that out loud, though, we're approving an NDA and we can't.
We're doing exactly what I said, we're saying we're gonna withhold this information from the public, so it would have to be structured, if there were any way to do this, it'd have to be structured, Mr. Hogan just said it. The city enters into an NDA, but the city has to put certain termination clauses in there. Again, when an alderman comes asking, information, finds out, from the public and says, oh, what's going on, and they come asking, then that language needs to be in there to terminate that NDA.
But in this bill, correct me if I'm wrong, Attorney Jones, based on what you just said, that situation should never happen because staff wouldn't have even seen the NDA, so to speak, or done anything with the NDA. It would have automatically come to the Board of Aldermen first, be discussed in closed session, and then the Board of Aldermen would be advising as to, yes, staff, you may enter into this NDA, or no, staff, you may not.
Yeah, but as Mr. Lee just said, now we know about it.
Correct. And so that, in essence, the way that I'm thinking about this, and again, this is just how I'm thinking about it, and having talked with other mayors and city administrators from other cities that have entered into NDAs, that they're entered into NDAs for the administrative branch to be able to do their due diligence on day-to-day things. When it comes to the legislative branch, their councils or committees to start making decisions on approval or not approval, at that point, that NDA is relinquished.
Yeah.
So, in essence, staff has done all their due diligence to get as much information possible to be able to take it then for the decision makers to then ask their questions, and at that point, it would become public because now that NDA has been released.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I think of it.
I think that's kind of a combination of what we're all getting to, which is the policy would have to be that, you enter into it, you're not telling the Board of Aldermen at the point that you need to tell the Board of Aldermen. The NDA, you've got that in there, that the NDA doesn't exist, or is terminated. And like I said, I would add two more conditions to that, and if the aldermen come asking, because again, it's gotten leaked out as almost
far as Alderman Gass's comment, I personally knew the company that was coming into there, and the gentleman had you call his phone because his owner was in Illinois, he was the runner man for bringing that out here. That's the only reason you contacted him through his personal cell phone. It wasn't nothing to keep hidden. His owner was, but I know him personally. I was here when they started coming in, Mr. Selby and I, so. Yeah, I've been here since 2005. This is the company there now, this place. Yeah. Is there any other discussion on this?
Yes.
I will not be in favor of anything happening before the board knows it.
So Ms. Kelly, what I'm hearing is you'd rather know about the NDA and allow the city to go into the NDA, and at that point, would be able to tell the citizens that, you know, what the NDA is about, correct?
Well, you can tell them once somebody's reached out to us to ask to sign one, we at least know something going on and not be.
But you still can't share what it's about. Now you're hiding stuff from the citizens.
Well, then, if we don't sign any at all, then we won't ever allow them again to happen.
And again, that just goes to show that the civic's closed for business.
I
Because
don't
all the
agree
other
with that.
cities around us.
I don't agree with that. We just had a new factory come into town. They didn't ask for one.
And that's one factory. Look at the cities around us that are signing NDAs for developments, and they get development constantly. I'm not saying the Pacific needs to grow in the thriving metropolis, but it's pretty stagnant around here. We could use just a little bit of growth in the area of neighborhoods or anything.
And so you're in favor of allowing what happened to us to happen again?
Again, it's a totally different scenario.
I'd be careful, so. Is there any other discussion on the motion? So the motion is to amend to have the attorney amend bill number 5309 to reflect that no NDAs are permitted, which is primarily revising section 1, and then section 2, I'm sorry, the last sentence of section 1, section 2, A, B, C, and D. All those in favor of having the attorney amend bill number 5309 as just mentioned, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Okay.
Any abstain? All right, since I'm not quite sure who, I'm still not quite sure I heard everybody's.
I'm sorry, I was finishing reading it, so I didn't voice, yeah.
Even though I just did a voice vote, can I do a roll call vote, because I'm not sure I heard everybody's response.
Yes, you can.
I think I heard somebody. All right, Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Kelly.
Aye.
Alderman Clee.
Yes.
Alderman Gass.
Nay.
Alderman Stewart.
Yes.
Alderman Hope.
No.
Alderman Lesh.
Yes.
Thank you. With a vote of 4 to 2, the ayes have it, and the attorney will look to amend the agenda, or amend the bill, sorry.
Mayor, I have a quick comment. I've got a text saying that they're still showing audience online if we want to have video look at the dice.
Thank you. Let's see, bill number 5310, we have removed from this agenda, so we'll move on. Consideration of bills previously introduced. Madam Clerk, would you please read bill number 5306?
An ordinance approving a conditional use permit to Ray Rose and Diana Hunt for operation of a short-term rental at 1505 Cypress.
Do I have a motion to approve bill number 5306?
I'll make the motion.
I have a motion from Alderman Cleve. Do I have a second? I have a second from Alderman Gass. Is there any discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that, I only heard from a little over a handful of people that said no to this. We saw a bunch of signatures on a petition in favor of it. I had a lot of questions about that. I heard one or two things negative about the petition. However, I've used petitions before, and I like to trust those. I think it's a good show of people that support or don't support something, and allows people not to have to come into a meeting to talk about it. Airbnb holds certain standards for their establishments. If you don't hold those standards, people aren't gonna rent from you.
walked not only to all those that abut the immediate property, but as well as the entire subdivision. I have actually heard from folks who are in favor of it, that are neighbors right next door, across from it, and all of that, and do believe it would be a good benefit to the city, as well as, you know, so I therefore will vote yes. And bill number 4306 will become ordinance 3477. Again, bill number 5306 will become ordinance 3477. Moving on to bill number 5307. Madam Clerk, would you please read bill number 5307?
An ordinance rezoning an approximate 5-acre parcel located at 1547 Thornton Street from C1 Downtown Commercial District to M1 Light Industrial District and changing the city's zoning map accordingly.
Do I have a motion to approve bill number 5307?
Motion.
I have a motion from Alderman Gass. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Alderman Hoven. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Gass,
Yay.
Alderman Stewart,
Yes.
Alderman Hoven,
Yes.
Alderman Lash,
Yes.
Alderman Kelly,
Yes.
Alderman Clegg.
Yes.
With a vote of 6-0, the ayes have it. And bill number 5307 will become 3478. Again, bill number 5307 will become 3478. Madam Clerk, would you please, oh, I'm sorry, is there a motion to untable bill number 5308?
Motion.
I have a motion from Alderman Stewart. Is there a second?
Second.
A second from Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion on the untabling? All those in favor of untabling bill number 5308, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstained? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, would you please read bill number 5308?
An ordinance amending Schedules 3 and 4 and Tables 3A and 4A of Title 3 of the Traffic Code relating to restrictions on parking on 2nd, 3rd, and 4th Streets between St. Louis Street and Osage and on South Fourth Street.
Do I have a motion to approve bill number 5308?
I'll make a motion so we can vote.
I have a motion from Alderman Cleve. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Alderman Hoven. Is there any discussion?
One question I have on there, if this thing is passed, you cannot put handicap parking where they got it. That's just the one different, it's nowhere there. You can't have handicap parking when somebody pulls up and handicap and can't get out on kind of a 6-inch curve. And the slope is most, I measure all of them, and there's only one that really, one or two maybe qualifies, but they're a little bit off even on slopes.
We need special, or we need handicap parking for special events and stuff like that. That should be a temporary matter to put up for the special event. I don't think we need to take up the limited amount of parking spaces that we have in inconvenient areas for handicapped people and turn them into handicap spaces. It's not made for that. Asset, so.
Madam Mayor, can I speak?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought we had said in the last meeting this was gonna go to committee, so and I know we said it was tabled, but, I'm not opposed to everything in this, but, the parking on Second and everything, yeah, I'm not for that. So, if we did do anything and sent it to committee to have them look at each part of it, then fine, but
I think we vote it down and then bring it back and do it.
And I will add that it did go to committee initially before it was even drafted into a form, and that went to the Pacific EMA committee, which is a committee set by ordinance. It did not go to one of our standing committees such as operation or administrative. So to Alderman Stewart's point, if the decision is to vote this down and then revisit it at committee, one standing committees such as operations, or maybe in conjunction with the PMA committee as well as operations, that might be another approach.
I would say if we were gonna do something like that, have a traffic engineer look at it and draw a line up if you want to do it that way.
So upon the first reading, this
it was discussed by the EMA committee prior to it even being drafted. And then at the first reading, a motion was made to table it and send it to committee, but it was never specified what committee to send it to. So I was just bringing up the fact that it technically has already been to a committee prior to even it coming together, because that was their question.
Mayor, if I may,
Yes.
what board member is liaison on that committee?
It's a committee that doesn't necessarily have to have a board member as staff. It is, and I'd have to pull up the ordinance, but in the ordinance that created the committee, it specified who was in a
Even though we all agree that every committee should have a liaison on it, that one does not.
that was created before that ordinance was put into place about every committee having a liaison.
So that might be something we need to add to. Thank you.
I think that ordinance establishing liaisons is universal and retroactive, so I think the question is whether or not that is the administration committee, or does it include citizens at large? The EMA committee.
I can tell you, hold on.
Another question, a litmus test question is, do we have someone there for 40 minutes? Just at a meeting.
Now let me pull up the section here. Real quick to define it. It's under section, chapter 245 of emergency management. It's composed of Pacific EMD ex officio and additional members appointed by the mayor and approved by the Board of Aldermen. Recommendations for the membership may be submitted by the EMD, the heads of emergency agencies serving the city of Pacific, for example, police, fire, EMS, and the city administrator. Membership may include representatives from elected state, county, and local officials, law enforcement, emergency management, firefighting, first aid, health, local environment, hospital and transportation personnel, broadcast and print media, community groups, and owners and operators of facilities subject to the requirement of the Emergency Planning and Community Right to Know Act of 1986. And then there's some code. The Pacific EMD shall serve as chairman of the committee. The member's term is 4 years, but may be reappointed for one additional 4-year term. If a member is no longer able to complete his or her term, the chief of police shall select a replacement to complete the remaining portion of this departing member's term. Members shall serve without compensation, but shall be reimbursed for necessary authorized travel and other expenses incurred in performance of their duties. So that's the establishment of that, which was done February 21st of 2023.
So does that meeting have anybody recording minutes?
No.
Clerk there recording
No,
minutes?
the clerk is not there recording minutes. And this is, again, established under the emergency management chapter, not under chapter 100 of
Ad hoc committee.
boards and commissions and officers. I'm trying to remember exactly what chapter 100 is titled.
100 is administration.
General provision.
General provisions, that's how it's titled.
Yes.
So
That may not be where I'm, the chapter I'm thinking of.
I think you're.
I'm thinking of chapter 110. Elects the mayor and board of aldermen. Yeah. It's somewhere in there. That's where committees and commissions is also defined as section 110.11. 110.110.
So the lesson here is that we need to specify the committee when we send it to committee.
It has a yes.
Well, it should be, if we say committee, it should be our committee, our ad hoc committees, because that's what we know. Those doesn't have a liaison, it doesn't have anyone taking notes. It may be by statute, but it's not.
But yeah, but we didn't send it to that committee, it came from that committee, so I get it, there's a distinct difference, and I assumed when we did it, that it was going to operations, but that's what I get for assuming.
Is there any other discussion before we take